Okay, welcome Jude Heyland, and we are in the Uxbridge Library at a read dating event. Hi Jude.
Hi.
Now you've got two books here. One's called Counting the Ways, the other's The Legacy of Mr Jarvis. Let's start with Counting the Ways. What's that all about?
Well, it's set in the mid-1980s and it's about family relationships, the complexities of relationships between mother, daughter, son, that kind of thing. I mean, all my novels tend to be character-driven rather than plot-driven. Set in the 1980s in between London and Somerset and Wales and also Greek Island, so there's various locations. And it's hard to define exactly a genre, but it's the kind of thing that book groups discuss. It's been quite successful with book groups because there are a lot of issues about what would you do if you were in this situation. Yeah. A sort of literary crossover, commercial crossover, that kind of genre.
So have you been to all these places to recce them, the Greek islands and these?
I have a connection because I have a family house in Crete. In fact, the Greek island that's featured in Counting the Ways is fictitious because I didn't want to actually use a true place. No. And then you have to get everything right, otherwise you're going to insult people. So it's called Kronos, my Greek island, but it is obviously based, hopefully authentically, on my experiences of Crete. And London, I lived in the 1980s, I was living in London, so again, that's something I've actually experienced. And Somerset and Wales are all places I know well. I only write about places I know.
Ah, clever. And The Legacy of Mr Jarvis, where are we going for that one?
That, again, is a dual setting, but principally on the south coast of England. This is set in the late 1960s, early 70s, but it has a dual timeline. It's also set in about 2008. It's a woman who reaches her early 50s and realises that she wants to look back on a particular period of her childhood and adolescence when she was living on the south coast. There was a sudden abrupt move from suburban North London, which is actually near here where I grew up, to the south coast and all the reasons why. So she goes back and puts herself in the frame that she was at the age of 11, 12 until 17, 18 and everything that was going on in her family at that time. Very much south coast. And that is a place that I know because my grandparents lived in Brighton, and in the late 60s, early 70s we would spend a lot of time there. So again, it's the kind of memories that I have.
Now, you're not a full-time writer, are you? You're also a teacher.
I think very few people are fortunate enough to be full-time writers. I'm also an English and drama teacher and tutor, and I tutor creative writing as well.
So once you've written books, you have to then obviously promote them. Do you spend a lot of your time touring around libraries and W.H. Smiths and bookshops signing?
Yes, there is a lot of the marketing side, which is quite tough. I'd rather stay hidden away in my study writing, but then nobody's going to read them. I mean, the books are available on Amazon, but I do go to book fairs a lot. I've been to Worthing, Brighton, Winchester, and I'm going to be in Smiths in Winchester quite soon. The Midlands, Henley in Arden, I was there quite recently. So yes, in fact, book fairs seem to be increasingly popular. There's a lot of these events around.
And what's your writing room like? I'm always intrigued, having seen Roald Dahl's writing shed. Do you have a special room where you write?
I have a room in my house, which is, yes, my writing room with a big desk and my computer and bookshelves. And, it is actually at the top of the house and very much my space. I find it quite difficult to write anywhere else. I will make notes in cafes. I'm a great sort of sitter in cafes and make lots and lots of notes, but I need to be there. And also, actually, my house in Crete, or our house, the family house in Crete, I tend to spend quite a long time there, especially when I'm editing and rewriting and redrafting. That tends to take place there.
And do you have a certain time of the day when it's best to write?
Mornings and evenings. Tend to write early mornings up until about mid-morning, and then again from about late afternoon and into the evening on the whole.
And any advice for anybody thinking of becoming a writer? Don't do it, probably.
Don't do it for the money, certainly, unless you're extremely fortunate. If you're a writer, you will write, even though you know that you're spending hours and hours and hours, months of your life, years even, writing something that somebody might get through in a few hours. But it's just part of you. And if you want to write, you simply write. It's probably like telling a musician not to play. It's just part of the person that you are.
So thank you very much, Jude. Counting the Ways and the Legacy of Mr Jarvis, out now on Amazon and all good bookshops.
Indeed. Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
indeed.
Cheers.